What's going on, golf fans? It's your boy Gsluke here with our course preview for this week's BMW Championship. Gonna go through Caves Valley Golf Club, give you guys an idea of exactly how this venue is gonna play. Ever since the renovation that they did in 2021, it's going to be a completely different course this time. They changed the par, added some distance, made it really difficult across the board. So I'm gonna touch on exactly how that impacts this golf tournament and how it should impact your research process as well. So a lot to go through here. It's not wasting any time at all. I started off with some of those course changes. The entire golf course is completely different this time, and I really mean every aspect of it. They added some distance, every green was recontoured. You also have yourself a change in the par, which is going to add a lot of difficulty automatically, and because it's brand new greens and they're still settling in, they're going to be much firmer than you had in 2021, and just to make sure that they're going to be crispy, they also added a precision air system to the golf course, which is going to mean that they can get it exactly as firm as they want. So, I mean, this week is going to look a lot different. That minus 27 winning score that you had back in the day, not going to be even close to matched this time around, unless somebody goes full Tiger Woods, just completely trounces the field or something. You're probably looking at something closer to minus 15 to minus 20. So that right off the bat is the main thing to note. And if you want to read up on some of the changes, the PGA Tour did post a really good article on that, but the scorecard is an easier way to see it. They completely rerouted it. Hole 1 used to be 350 yards. Now it's a 480 yard beast where you get slapped right off the bat. And hole 2, which was the easiest hole on property, it was a par 5 at 530, is now a brutally long par 4. So the identity, really the scoreboard in general, I think is going to look a whole lot different. And while you're going to be hitting a lot of the same kind of shots as what you did in 2021, so the course fit, that history itself from that year is something that you don't want to completely ignore. The putts, the shots around the green, even the agronomy is a bit different than what we had that year. It's going to be a bit of a different beast in 2025. So, when we go to Caves Valley and we take a look at these analytics, we have to remember that it's going to be a different story this year. And in fact, when we take a look at these top categories and the difficulty compared to the PGA Tour average, they were all easier than your PGA Tour average course. This year, I think they're going to be about the Tour average, if not even a little bit more difficult than what we had that year. And part of the reason for it as well is they've got longer rough, they've narrowed the fairways. It's not just the greens, it's not just the par of the golf course itself. Every single aspect of the course has been made more difficult this time around. So, the fairway average, which was 66%, is going to go down with them narrowing them. The green percentage is going to go down drastically as well. It was extremely wet and soggy that week. Now it's going to be firm, fast, and they have the precision air. Your scrambling rate, that'll probably go down as well, but maybe that's the one category that is the affected the least, just because that's, kind of the identity of the course. Like, they can make the greens a little softer, make them maybe a little harder in spots, but that might go down to like 65%, I would say. Your 3-putt percentage, maybe that goes up slightly as well, with it being a little bit firmer and faster this time around. But when we get to these bottom categories, I think a lot of this is going to hold up because, like I said, the shots that you're hitting around this course, it is 50 yards longer, are not going to be the thing that changes as much. So when we look at the driver holes, you're going to be hitting a lot of drivers around here, even more so as a par 70 in my opinion. So it was a 7.4 out of 10 in the Bomber's Paradise, which is something that we can lean into this year. If you look at the approach distribution, it was also skewing a bit longer than the last few events. A few of the tournaments that we had been breaking down over the last month had upwards of 8, 7.5, even 9 shots from 125 to 175. Now it's down to just over 3.5 per round, and the most predominant bucket, which was, and the shorter buckets the last few weeks, is now from 175 to 225, and with them adding 50 yards to the golf course, it could skew even more in that direction. So definitely a long iron play golf course. Looks like Bomber's distance is going to get rewarded off the tee. Around the green, it's a pretty even distribution. A lot of shots coming out of the rough, though. That's one thing I would notice there, is you can see the vast majority of them in that category. And then with your putting, the 5 to 15 foot range, we'll get to that with the bet the number model here in just a little bit, was also the most important that year. So I still think these analytics can help us out, kind of give us an identity for the players that we're looking for. And with it being a 7,600 yard par 70, I mean, let's just talk the facts. Bent grass greens, you have rye/bent rough, real thick stuff in Maryland. this golf course, I think, is going to play about even par, maybe even slightly over par. And I think the players that are consistently carrying it 300 plus yards are going to be at a distinct advantage. And while we'd normally go hole by hole and be able to show you guys all the shots that are required, the Pro Visualizer that I usually use for that has not updated since the renovation. And while it would give us maybe a general sense of the shots that are required, kind of like we got with these analytics before, I don't want to give you guys any information that's misleading, right? It's a different routing as well, so the holes aren't even one-to-one with what we're going to get for this week. So we're going to skip it this time around just for the sake of accuracy and making sure that we're all on the same page. What we will do though is talk through this bet the number model, which I was eagerly looking forward to this week. A lot of times I've been posting my model in these videos the last month or so, but those were courses that I was extremely familiar with. I mean, I'd been to a couple of them before. I'd played even one or two of them. These golf courses, Caves Valley, I have never even come close to being on property here. So I want to trust the BTN guys here a little bit more than usual, as they have players that they're working with on tour. They're at a lot of these venues every single week. If anyone's going to know what plays well around here, it's the guys on the BTN team. So that's why I was really looking forward to this one. So let's look through what they're looking at. So first off, is shots gained off the tee. It's a good, kind of a combination of both distance and that accuracy. I would say that that's a pretty wise thing at this course, as it is a long one, but with the rough being longer this year, I do think that hitting the fairways could also be a way to get to some success. And when we talk about our first comp course, you're going to see that accuracy isn't something I'm completely overlooking, as Muirfield Village will be that comp course that we're going to go through, and that is the number one correlator to success at that course. But carry distance, that's the driving distance coming into play. That is something that we can look at as well. Players like Rory, Kitayama, Aubert, Pendrith, and Shoffley that hit the ball a long way are going to be an advantage at a longer golf course like this. You always want to look at regular approach play heading in as well. So just like the off the tee, that's probably over the last 24 rounds if I went and checked the nitty gritty on the BTN model, but giving us an idea of how players are playing heading into this specific event and at this specific course. You have Scotty Scheffler at the top, Victor number 2, D Berger, and Hideki rounding out that top 4. And then if we're going to narrow it down to a specific proximity bucket, a ton of shots coming from 150 to 220. In fact, if you even wanted to include up to 225 to 230, I'm okay with that as well. But BTN narrowing it down to this 70-yard range, I think is also a very good idea, especially because we're going to have 7, maybe even 8 shots in that bucket. Around the green, I don't think you can ignore either. These greens are about tour average size, but if they're going to play firmer this year in that deep 4-inch rough, it's going to make it hard to hit that stuff if you're missing fairways. And then also the putting from 5 to 15 feet. I mentioned that as a separator around Caves Valley. Bryson DeChambeau, Patrick Cantlay, I mean, their putting was ridiculous the last time they played around here, and in particular, they lit it up from 5 to 15 feet. So this is using a lot of the kind of stats, the kind of correlations that we saw on the leaderboard in 2021 and kind of translating them to this year. But keep in mind, with all the changes to the course, that it's going to have a completely different identity. So you want to take the modeling with a little bit of a grain of salt, which is also why I'm adding in these comp courses, because I think they give us an idea of how I think the golf course is going to play. So let's talk about the Memorial. This is more of a positional golf course. It plays well over par as a par 72. So it's a par 70 versus a 72. That's maybe the main difference between them. But before they changed it, it was almost the exact same setup. It was playing 75-50 in 2021. It was also a par 72. But now it's going to play harder like you had at the Memorial, right? Before it was playing to a minus 2.8 average, minus 27 winning score, which would just never happen around Muirfield Village. But now if the winning score is going to be closer to like a minus 10 to minus 15, maybe a little bit better than that, then this is a much better comp course to use, because the greens at Muirfield Village are really the main defense of it. They're extremely firm, fast. They have a lot of movement to them as well. The greens this week probably won't be as severe as Muirfield Village, but they're going to be firm and fast with that sub-air system and the brand new greens, and it might play a little bit like Muirfield Village, and this might be the only year where that happens. If they happen to come back to Caves Valley in like 4 or 5 years after the soil has settled in, then it might play as a birdie fest again. Maybe not quite the minus 27 that we had before, but maybe closer to that minus 20 mark. This year, though, it's going to look a lot more like this golf course, or even Quail Hollow, which is our second comp course, which is why I'm looking at these. So they're just, they add that difficulty in. In particular, Muirfield Village is more of a positional golf course, but with a similar type of approach profile, whereas Quail Hollow, very difficult this year. I mean, it was the PGA Championship, so added even more difficulty. But even when it's the Truist or the Wells Fargo Championship, it still plays as a long par 71. Not quite the par 70 that we have this week, but from the difficulty scale, is I think it'd be more in line with this year as opposed to what we had in 2021. So there's a lot of driver holes there. This is a course where distance is more required. So I like having an accuracy and a distance comp just because I don't think we know for certain ahead of time how this thing's going to play, right? I don't pretend to have a crystal ball or anything. Who knows? We could end up being completely off on this for all we know. I don't think we're going to. I trust the guys over here at BTN, but like the Quail Hollow comp is where we're getting that driving distance coming in. And you can see the approach shot distribution is also almost the exact same. Agronomy is different. It is overseed at this golf course as opposed to the pure bent grass that we're getting at Caves Valley, but a close enough ball striking comparison that I'll use it for some of that crossover analysis. So hopefully it gives you guys an idea of exactly how I'm expecting this course to play. But as I've already highlighted, guys, there's a lot of unknowns here. So don't go too overboard with your modeling. I would trust a player's pedigree more than anything, and form as well. Like, getting the hot player is always a good thing when you're getting to a tournament like this. Taking guys that are just the best players in the field, I think, are some of the, and I know it sounds simple, but you want to simplify things when we're at a new golf course like this. So that's what I'm choosing to do. Still using the modeling a little bit, but maybe a little bit less than usual. Alrighty guys, that's all I've got for the course breakdown this week. Go ahead, smash that like button if you guys haven't already, and also comment down below what you've got as your winning score for a chance to earn a free month on my Patreon page. And it'll be on a first come first serve basis, so the first person to guess that correct winning score will win a free access to all my Patreon projections, which is where I have all my DFS stuff that includes projections, modeling, everything that you guys see in all my content throughout the week. Also, all the pick'em stuff I do, that's for sites like Underdog and Prize Picks. I post stat averages, weather reports, also every single slip that I'm entering for rounds 1 through 4. Yours completely free if you win that giveaway. But if you guys want to join before the giveaway and to not have to win something for free, you guys can just check out the link in the description of the video. But until next time, best of luck with everything that you guys are going with. I hope to see your names at the top end of those GPPs. Hope to also maybe even cash out on an outright bet or two. Subscribe to the channel so you guys don't miss any of the content to come. That will include our betting and DFS preview a little bit later on this evening, as well as our rounds 2 through 4 live streams for props, betting, and for DFS, whether it's on the Ship It Nation channel or over here on my YouTube channel for the prop betting side of things. Make sure to stay tuned for all of that. But that's all. Appreciate your support in the channel as per usual, guys. I'll see you guys a little bit later on with the betting and DFS side.